a game here, divisional foes, both good teams, and it has shootout written all over it, in my opinion. J.C. Jackson's not expected to play for the Chargers. That helps the shootout narrative. And the Raiders added Devontae Adams. Really helps the shootout narrative. So now you get a bevy of weapons on offense for Derek Carr. You have Darren Waller, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, who had a revelation of a season last year. And then Josh Jacobs is fine in the backfield. On the other side, Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. These guys can absolutely light up the scoreboard in this game, and I definitely think they will. The only question I have is, can the Raiders' offensive line hold up against this Chargers defensive line and this Chargers pass rush? So if I'm leaning aside here, I'd go Chargers -3.5, but I don't love it. I think this game stays really competitive. If it was 2.5 and you get the Chargers to win by a field goal, sure, but 3.5 in a divisional rivalry game with really good offenses on both sides, like, yes, the Chargers have the advantage on defense. They have the advantage in the pass rush, no doubt, but I don't love this. So what I want to do is I want to go over 52.5 points because I think we shoot out. You could see you could definitely see a 33-30 game here and not be surprised whatsoever. So over 52.5 points. Next up, Chiefs at Cardinals, over 53.5 points is where I'm going right out of the gate. Sorry, messed that one up, Alicia, producing the show. Just throw it up there. It's fine. I'm going to explain why right now. The Cardinals secondary could be really rough this season. All right. And I don't see how they slow down Patrick Mahomes, even without Tyreek Hill. Let's not forget. Juju Smith-Schuster apparently has a great rapport and has looked good in camp. Marquez Valdes-Scantling just signed a $33 million 3-year deal. They still have Travis Kelce. They still have Patrick Mahomes. And that's what it comes down to. No matter what, still have Patrick Mahomes. He can still light it up, and he still has Kelce. And I think he's going to pick apart this Cardinal secondary that didn't really make any notable improvements to their secondary in the offseason. And Kansas City went over 53.5 9 times last season, right? 9 times. But that was against teams as well that weren't nearly as high-powered offensively as the Cardinals are. I know they're without DeAndre Hopkins, but Kyler Murray can still use his leg, right? This guy is still insanely mobile. I think Zach Ertz is going to play.
Yeah, PGA. Been doing a little sports wagering here with the Ben Raza, Matt Gajeski picks. It's a good time. You got to get that legalized down in Texas, guy.
I need it. Like I've really strongly considered moving, but it's just like weighing family versus replanting yourself.
Yes,
man, sports betting is such a alluring thing for me.
But then you've got the sale or estate tax. No income
right
tax.
That's why I was looking at Tennessee. It was like the best transfer with no state tax, but
All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming in for a little MLB Live Before Lock, joined by the one and only Gundacker.
I didn't know that was
You're asleep at the switch.
No, usually there's like a long intro, bro. That was like a 5-word throw to me, man. Yeah, happy Saturday, happy college football. It's like Christmas for us in this industry, man. It's a beautiful thing to just look around and see everyone has a sport to make them happy right now. MMA, football, college, baseball. It's a beautiful time.
Yeah, we've got 1 month left of the baseball regular season. We've got football underway tomorrow. We had the Christmas Eve occurred on Thursday for football, and we get starting at 9 o'clock, 4 hours of NFL DFS and betting content. That's on the Stokastic, this channel here. We also will have the NFL Live Before Lock that will be with me, Terry, and my grandson. Nick Lepre will be joining us. It's running it back from last year, so we should have a lot of fun. We've got a lot of content up and in front of the paywall here. Tons of articles for everybody to look at. Couple great deals We are, of course, sponsored by BetMGM. They are having a limited time offer right now. If you sign up through the link that is below us here in the description of the YouTube video, click on that, create your account. When you bet $10 tomorrow, you will get $200 if any team scores a touchdown, I believe is what the caveat is. In other words, you're going to get $200 if you wager $10. So, but you got to come in through our link to get that. And that helps us out, helps you out, helps keep these shows for free. The other really neat thing we have is our NFL content. You can get a whole week for just $7. That is also a limited time promo code SCRAMBLE, like eggs or a quarterback under pressure. Those are similar things, right? Not really. Let's get into baseball again. We've got 8 games. We had the Kansas City game got moved up early to try to stay ahead of some weather. So we still have a lot of fun. We've got Coors Field, which put up, was that 23 runs last night? I got mad and went to bed. So, and I stayed up till like 11:30. I've been mad a lot this week. So yeah, darn you football wagers. Made my biggest bet of all time and lost on football. That hurt. That hurt. But here we are. It's Saturday. We're going to have some fun. We got Coors Field. We got half a dozen decent pitching choices, 3 really surging to the top. I'm turning this over to you. We're going with Toronto. In Texas, the Globe Life Field roof will be open tonight, according to Ranger Blake. He is their VP of marketing. You can follow him on Twitter, Ranger Blake. He lists what uniforms they're going to wear and if the roof's open. So good times there. You've got Kevin Gossman, going to be one of our top pitchers, going against Kohei Arihara. Arihara, not good. Batting practice pitcher. Load up on the Blue Jays. Gun, give us some specifics here.
Yeah, Arihara, like you said, over a 5 expected ERA, had over an 8 last year. So there's possible that regression's on the way, and he just doesn't strike you out. And if they're going to pop the lid open in Globe Life, then it only makes it a more positive hitting environment for this Blue Jays team that's absolutely stacked. I have a lot of big power numbers coming out of the Blue Jays lineup for me today, so there's certainly going to be a big target for me. Looking at the Blue Jays in our top stack tool, they're only getting about 12% ownership, pretty close to their top stack percentage, with a lot of the slate being in the shadows of Coors Field. So this is a great opportunity to grab the Blue Jays, efficiently owned, but still some room for a little bit of upside. I think the price point on them is what is really drawing the rest of the field back, because Coors is so much cheaper than the 5.5s and the 5.7K 1 through 4 of this Blue Jays lineup. But they certainly are becoming one of my most sought after stacks. So no reason not to like them. And then I'm pretty well invested in Kevin Gossman tonight as one of the upper echelon pitchers on the slate. I believe he's coming in as the top projected owned pitcher, but it's thin margins right above Ohtani. Ohtani, of course, in a much tougher matchup, and Jose Urquidy in a weaker matchup, but Gossman arguably the better stuff. So I like a lot from this game, and I'm heavily invested in the success of the Blue Jays, both pitching and hitting tonight.
Yeah, the nice thing about Gossman, of course, this is his first year with Toronto. He's been a top 20 pitcher. He's got a 3.12 ERA, 1.24 WHIP, and 170 strikeouts this year. Those are all outstanding numbers. He slipped a little bit from where he was. Remember, he had that tipping pitches issue or whatever, but he's kind of stabilized himself once again. He's definitely a frontline starter. Kind of fell out of the Cy Young awards. His own teammate Alek Manoah is ahead of him. Justin Verlander is ahead of him. Dylan Cease is ahead of him, right? But he was in for a hot minute in that conversation, which is still impressive for anybody to be in the conversation. So he's going to be good. The roof being open in Globe Life will improve the offenses there. We want to remember that the new Texas ballpark, which we saw for the first time in the 2020, the abbreviated 2020 season, definitely plays more towards pitchers. But when the roof is open, think of it like not quite as dramatic, but kind of like Chase Field out there in Arizona, in that it does help. It's probably like a 10% boost. So while it's noticeable, it's not the Coors Field effect that we would expect. Is there anybody you would want to go to for Texas? Do you feel like a leverage opportunity with one of the first three of the first four hitters? Because the back half of this lineup is a disaster.
Yeah, if I was getting here, I would look at one of the top four guys. I guess there should be a honorable mention for Josh Young. He's almost min price on both sites. We saw a little bit of his power yesterday. One of the September call-ups in the minors this year had an 866 overall OPS, 326 OBP, and 9 homers. So not like extremely number one power guy in the league numbers, but we saw yesterday it can sneak in there and catch a sleeping pitcher. So really, really cheap in the middle of the lineup. But not here for a full stack, but if we were a sub stack, I'd probably look at Semien Seager, Lowe, and Garcia as the obvious options here.
All right, that makes sense. We'll continue.
I do think we need to mention, because I see some confusion in chat, that KC Tigers game is being treated as a postponed game or whatever on DK and FanDuel, but on Cruncher you have to uncheck it. That actually got my way too. So just make sure you're taking that game off when you're doing your crunches.
Good call out. So there's two easy ways to do that. You can go in one, remove all the teams, highlight that game, and then uncheck all the players. And then if you want to put a fail safe on that as well, you can go into the advanced options and set players from this game maximum 0. And that'll keep anybody from sliding into your lineup. That game is going on right now. Detroit's up, I think 8-2 the last time I looked at it. So yeah, that game's already happening and we aren't going to get any points for that. So just be careful. Be careful. Did you want to call it any specific Toronto Blue Jays? They're probably going to be the counter move to Coors Field. There's 2 spots I see as counter moves to Coors Field. They're one of them.
So 6 guys in my bomb detector of the Blue Jays hit the magic number. I will say with Arihara, there's a little pushback with his metrics this year versus last year. Last year, he had a 14% barrel rate and a 38% ground ball rate. So far this year, a 5% barrel rate and a 56% ground ball rate to righties. So there's a chance that he's fixed the power problems this year, but my model is encapsulating last year's metrics as well. So the entire Blue Jays lineup essentially is looking good. Vladdy Jr., no surprise there, top of the bomb detector for me. And then Springer's up there. And then Alejandro Kirk is turning into one of my highest owned players on the slate, right there in the middle of the order. Good RBI spot.
He's got the body type, doesn't he? I want to see like him, Vogelbach, and Rowdy Tellez all together.
Man, that's an offensive line right there.
Standing next to Tristan Mckenzie, who they'll look like 1,000 if they stand together. Like
handing the ball off to Jose Altuve.
Yes. Yes, good times. All right, on to our next game here. And don't worry, we'll make up some time here and there. I know the MMA show went a little bit longer, but it's a big card tonight and a lot to talk about with some of the fight adjustments that they made. The Angels going into Houston. That means we are not going to be able to roster Shohei Ohtani as a hitter. He instead will be a pitcher. This will be the 4th time he has gone against Houston this season. He has a 1.1 ERA and a 0.77 whip. He has allowed just 3 runs across 24.2 innings with 38 strikeouts. That is no precursor to what will happen tonight, but damn, it's comforting to see him have good success against this team. It's just a reminder of how good Ohtani really is. He's in the mix as a wild card pitcher tonight. Anytime you're going against one of the top 5 offenses, there's always going to be some risk, but he is one of those pitchers. While he's not quite matchup proof, he's pretty close at this point.
Yeah, he's really good. He's also 30% owned on the DraftKings slate. That comes in as the 2nd highest owned pitcher, a little bit above his 26% chance to be the top 2 pitcher. I think with this spot, because of how shallow pitching feels today, I think we have to play some Ohtani just because he's pretty doggone good. But this Astros team is really, really good. This is the Alvarez version. I know he missed a couple games with injuries. This is his full strength. This lineup really gets Altuve, Gurriel, Alvarez, Bregman, Tucker, and Mancini 1 through 6. Good luck. So I believe the right move here for us that MME or run 100, 150 lineups, 50 even. I think you got to have a little bit of both sides of this coin. And I love the fact that because Ohtani's grabbing so much ownership as a pitcher, the Astros offense, not so much, and even more so not grabbing ownership because of Coors Field today. We're getting an opportunity on DraftKings to get the Astros stack at 1.5% owned with, a 3.5% chance of being a top stack. That's a very talented team at 1%. And I just think almost against any pitcher in the league, you get teams like the Astros, the Braves, those high octane, high power, high stolen base teams at 1% owned. I think the right process is always grab a share of that. So I'm in on Astros, and you don't have to give up much equity to be well above the field, and you can be there on Ohtani and just kind of play both sides.
So these two games have our three most popular hitters. So we've got Gossman's at 32%, Ohtani's at 28, we'll just call it 28, and Urquidy at 26. Urquidy, we're sort of paying apex price for him, but the Angels, really aside from Trout and Ohtani, are not overly scary at this point. Are you going over the field on any of these pitchers? My approach now, I think I want to go over on Gossman by 10%. I want to come in under on Ohtani because I'm going to use the Houston as a bit of a leverage. So I'm going to come in at 20%. I'm going to go over on Urquidy, 35%. And then we'll get to Jack Flaherty. I'm doubling the field there. That's where I'm pushing my chips in tonight.
It actually sounds like we're very linear.
Okay.
I mean, that's almost word for word what I'm doing. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with Urquidy just yet, but I'm certainly coming in under on Ohtani and over on Flaherty and getting Gossman as well.
All right. So let's talk a little bit more on Houston. Would you go full stack and hope for an implosion? Something happens where not like an injury, but they're just like, Ohtani feels a twinge, now he's out. I mean, this feels like one where you could go that route and suddenly be alone with 5-man stacks in an unlikely situation to occur, but it's probably 1 in 8. Maybe 1 in 6 that something like that happens. That's not bad in baseball, considering players get hits 1 in 3 at bats and they're all-stars, right?
Yeah, Ohtani can bleed red. It doesn't happen that often, but he can do it. And this Astros team is really doggone talented. So I'm in on the full onslaught Astros stack. That 1% lights my eyes up. I'm probably going to be I'm at 6% right now.
Okay. And that's where I think 5 to 7% was kind of the number I had it in my mind, but you'll probably have to be thoughtful in creating some of those lineups. The point per dollar may not get you there. I'm just setting up all my parameters here in Fantasy Cruncher, so I'll see what happens and what I have to do for that. But I have a feeling they may not come through quite as strongly as I want, or it may not be their more expensive options. So I'll probably have to put my thumb on the scale there for these guys. Trout alone is fine, but it hurts not having Ohtani to be able to stack him in this one. Do you have any interest in the Angels at all aside from Trout?
Ohtani pitching days are just borderline untouchable here. All
right, on to our next game, Cleveland Guardians at the Minnesota Twins. Tristan Mckenzie, if you ever see him when he stands on the mound and then he turns sideways, he like disappears. That guy is so skinny. It's crazy. But he is an adequate option tonight. 25% strikeout rate this year, 3.8x ERA. That's solid. Chris Archer, no bueno. Archer, no longer the pitcher that he was 5 years ago. He's going to throw around 80 pitches. He will go about 4 innings. That's just kind of where he is. I think if he goes 81 pitches, he gets hurt. So they're going to keep him at 80. This is like, I can't think of who was I used to make jokes about the Golden State Warriors, Otto Porter playing like exactly 24 minutes, never over. Because if he ever went over, he got hurt. So this feels the same way for me for Archer. I've got him capped at 5%, just whatever. If he comes into lineups, great. I don't think he will. I do like kind of the 3 in the middle of the Cleveland order here with Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor, and Oscar Gonzalez. Those would be the 3 I like the best. The rest of their team, I mean, Andres Jimenez is okay. Ahmed Rosario, much better against lefties. So it's kind of really those three guys. But then Will Benson, Luke Mahle, and Miles Straw. That talk about paper mache hitters there.
So I mean, Will Benson again. The September call-ups. I know the rosters don't expand as much as they used to.
They go up to 28. I looked that up the other day. They do go to 28. No, it's not the 40 we used to get, but it's two or three more than what it is during the regular season now.
Yeah, and for the Guardians, Will Benson's one of those guys. In the minors, overall 948 OPS this season. If you isolate those splits to righties, he actually had a 1 OPS against righties with 15 homers in 244 at bats. He can strike out. Don't get it twisted, but he can certainly be a sneaky guy in the bottom of this lineup at bare bones min price on both sites. And Archer hasn't been a big K guy, like you said. So if you're going to dare a guy like Benson, has a little bit of that power, something to prove, to put the ball in play, I think he could be a sleeper in this lineup. But I'm with you. The name brand guys, the top of my bomb detector, like you said, the three you named off, J-Ram, Naylor, and Oscar Gonzalez would be the targets for me.
All right, we're going to continue to the other side here. Tristan Mckenzie, I think, is a fine pitcher. Little spendy at 9,500, but again, as Gun has pointed out, there's several cheapies on the call-ups here, which will facilitate whatever we need to do. But Mckenzie, let me see where I set my cap on him. He's someone I kind of falls into that better real life pitcher than fantasy pitcher because the strikeouts kind of come and go. Right now I've got him capped at 15%. The field's at 12. So I'm matching the field is perfectly fine for me. I don't know how much I will end up getting just because the $9,500 price tag has him for 1.8 points. And that is, Gossman's ahead of that ratio. Jack Flaherty is miles ahead of it. George Kirby's ahead of it. Even JT Brubacher, just because his salary is cheaper, is ahead of it. Those are the guys that are going to start to come in with Fantasy Cruncher. So I've capped them at certain levels. So I'll get some Mckenzie, but I prefer him going against Detroit. Better way of saying it. We do have a somewhat depleted Twins lineup forever there. I mean, everybody's injured. They do have Max Kepler back, but of course, no Byron Buxton. You've got Kyle Garlick is kind of filling in that role. He's better off against lefties. Luis Arias is fine. Carlos Correa is fine. Miranda better against lefties. Nothing overly exciting here. I really don't want one-offs from the Twins. If I do anything, I wouldn't mind a stack. They are all incredibly cheap from 4 onwards on DraftKings. They're 3,500 or less. So they can be a secondary stack, a 2-man or a 3-man stack. If you're going to do that, you want to make sure you're getting batters that are adjacent to each other or one apart in the lineup just for maximum synergy. But how are you feeling about the Twins? Anything you want to add for the Guardians?
Yeah, no Polanco, no Buxton. It really makes them like not that enthralling. Correa's on a little bit of a streak here, 3 homers in 3 games in a row. Affordable on FanDuel, 3,300. DraftKings kind of go up there and get them. As a full stack, I just feel like compared to what else is on the board, I'm not that interested. Substack maybe, but Carlos Correa would be the guy leading the charge just for any access to this team as he's really been carrying them.
All right, sorry, I'm just mentally doing the math to make sure my stacks have enough percentage there to run. I got that done, so I'm going to push crunch here in a minute. We'll talk about that. In the meantime, let's remind everybody here that, again, we do have that limited time BetMGM promo. You can claim that by going to the link below us here in the YouTube description. Click on that link. That will take you through to BetMGM with our referral code on it. Once you create your account, that will give you the ability to make a $10 bet that will pay out $200 if anybody scores a touchdown on Sunday. I'm pretty sure someone's going to score a touchdown on Sunday. And then we have promo code SCRAMBLE, gets you 7 days of Stokastic NFL Plus for $7. That is a very limited time promo. That's going to end on Tuesday. You're going to want that because that's a nice compliment, getting all the tools, getting everything to tune in tomorrow for the 4-hour show block starting at 9 o'clock leading up to NFL Week 1 kickoff. All right, Gun, we've got Chase Anderson. How many starts do you think Chase Anderson has made in the last 3 years?
I have 50 something innings, so I'm going to say 8.
Let me see. He has made 20. He's been in 27 games over the last 3 seasons.
Okay.
That's not much.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's not a lot.
That's like 1 season's worth. He's 34. He's just kind of the end of the road at this point. He is gonna go 60 70 pitches probably. The bullpen behind him is pretty well rested because you had Nick Lodolo go I think he went 8 innings last night. So but what does that matter? They've got one lefty in their bullpen, and their bullpen sucks. It's a disaster. Fresh arms, yay, but Yelich, Rowdy Tellez, Willie Adames, Hunter Renfroe, it's Garrett Mitchell if he made the lineup. He did not, but you could go to Tyrone Taylor there at the back end for some differentiation. Colton Wong. This is a good spot here for the Brewers. On the flip side, you've got Adrian Hauser, 6,400. I don't know what to do with him. I've set his cap at 10%. He hasn't been consistent with his strikeouts, and that's kind of a frustrating thing. What is your read on this battle of the Midwest, not powerhouses?
You talked about how Lodolo did yesterday. His offense did some work too. Put up 8 runs, and they got no respect after a night's rest. 3.5 run total against a pitcher with a 4.76 expected ERA and a $1.50 whip. That's interesting. I'm pretty much avoiding pitchers on both sides here, and I was offense only. I was pretty interested in the Brewers offense, especially on FanDuel. They're coming in really, really cheap. I think they got a chance to be a top value. I think actually in our top stack tool, they were number 2 or number 3 in value percentage. Rowdy Tellez is 2,300, batting third against Chase Anderson. That's a problem.
Did FanDuel try today? Because last night they had who was it? It was the kid from Tampa Bay shortstop. I'm blanking on his name, but he was literally $300 yesterday. This afternoon, the slate they gave the San Francisco Giants single game pricing salaries for a main slate. That Jock Peterson, I think, with Terry messaged me, was like $9,000. So. It was just like, well, are they trying? I don't even think so at this point. Congratulations, FanDuel. But yeah, that's just a broken price there.
Yeah, 100%.
Where's he on your bomb detector? Because he was my cover boy, my rotund cover boy of my article today.
So he's not as high as I would think or I would have guessed, but he has a number that puts him in the chart. 3.82. My magic number is 4. Looking at Chase Anderson against lefties, it's really the fact that he's been a line drive pitcher to lefties, but you can line drive a homer in that park. So I'm in on Tellez, man. I think that's way too cheap on FanDuel. I'm pretty sure he's my highest FanDuel hitter.
All right, Wander Franco. Boy from Cali says that. I as soon as I said Willie Adames, my brain just went there, and I was like, I can't. It's a W, but I have no idea what his last name is. So I should have gotten coffee instead of a water before the show. Jake Fraley is looking pretty good. You've got TJ Friedel, obviously much better against righties when he has the platoon advantage. I like Kyle Farmer. The back half of this lineup is kind of non-existent. I did get to mention Aristides Aquino on the show I was on Wednesday with Neil Orfield. That was a lot of fun. Ended up having 2 home runs after I besmirched his good name by saying his the hole in his strike zone basically goes from his ankles to his eyebrows. So
my goodness.
But yeah, I prefer him against lefties, but hey, he's going to be swinging from his heels. Anything else you want to clean up for this game before we maneuver on?
No, I'm in on both offenses, and once again, referring to our top stack tool, Milwaukee's coming in. We got about 10% ownership. That's pretty in line efficiently with our top stack percentage. And then Cincinnati coming in at 4% owned, in line with the top stack percentage. So everything is efficiently owned here. You mentioned Aquino. I like Aquino when we can neutralize that strikeout rate, and this is one of those opportunities we can bring his 41% K rate to righties down when Hauser's striking out righties at 15%. And when you bring the K rate down, it creates more batted ball events. And when Aquino has batted ball events, almost 12% of them are barrels. So that's what we want want. So maybe a sleeper in the middle of the lineup at almost min price on both sides, literally min price on DK. I don't know, that 3.5 run total just feels awfully soft for the Reds, but they suck.
Yeah, I mean, it does, but as you start to look down the lineup, I think part of the reason we like some of their players is they're so cheap. It's not because they're good, that's for sure. But no Votto, obviously no Moustakas, of course. Winker and Eugenio Suarez are with the Mariners now, so they've just kind of gutted their team for that one. All right, next one. This one's all about Jack Flaherty, 6,900 on DK. Very nice. You have him at 8,200 on FanDuel. He's still in play on FanDuel in this matchup. Pirates, of course, are god-awful against lefties. They're not so good against righties either. Now, this is just going to be the 5th appearance of the year for Flaherty. They brought him back a little too early from an injury in June. He only made 3 starts before he had to go out again. They kept him down in the minors and gave him even an extra full start just to make sure he was going to be good to go. Obviously, they're making up their postseason push. So this is just kind of a broken price on DraftKings. While we have him just at 20% right now, that's where I'm doubling the field for this one. So we shall see what transpires, but doesn't have to do a ton to make up for that salary. I think 15 points is a realistic projection. I think he has access to 20, and especially if he gets the win. So that's sort of my assessment with him. On the other side, who is it today? It's Brubacher. God, Brubacher was like, he's the perfect number 4.5 starter. He should be in a major league rotation, but he should not play if they ever make the postseason. That's the kind of pitcher he is. Tough ask going against the Redbirds. They are an excellent offense against righties. They are the offense against lefties, but I have no desire for Brubacher. You mentioned you're also on Flaherty. How do you feel about him on FanDuel? DraftKings is the clear-cut answer. Yes. How do you feel about him on FanDuel?
So it's not really a price concern for me. It's more of a performance concern. His numbers aren't super sharp, but I'm willing to forgive, bank on regression, and then find the positive in what he has done. He's only had one game where it was all bad. It was against the Brewers. He only had a 5% swing and strike rate. I think he walked like 5. Every other game this season, over 10% swing and strike rate. The most recent game against the Nats, 13% swing and strike rate. But I'm really concerned about his first pitch strike at 50% since he's come back, and it was below 50% in that last game. So he's having problems getting ahead in counts and throwing strikes. And that's not something that I think is a long-term problem for him. Last year, 7% walk rate to righties, 9% to lefties. So it's not a problem, but it's not something that we built in as a concern. 17% walk rate to righties so far and 14% to lefties. Feel like that's highly unsustainable. Hopefully going against a team like the Pirates that do strike out a lot. I'm encouraged that he threw 90 plus pitches in that last outing. So ultimately I am going to take that gamble with you on Flaherty. Gritting my teeth and bearing it, but I just think the opportunity here at this price in this park against this team is just really too good to pass up. But looking at that 5+ expected ERA doesn't make you feel good.
All right. Now it's time.
I was gonna say on the other side, our boy Anthony with that $2 super chat, St. Louis Cardinals for single entry, and somebody was asking about the Cardinals for just stack ownership. Looking at the top stack tool, we got them at 5% owned. That's under the 7.5% top stack percentage on DraftKings. So a little bit of positive leverage there. You never have to talk to me too long to stack the Cardinals. I just love this team this year. A lot of power, a lot of ISO. I really love them against lefties, but JT Brubacher, 4.3 expected ERA, 1.4 whip, can definitely let you put the ball in play. And maybe he gets a little bit towards last year's numbers where he had almost a 2 homer per 9 to righties. This year, he's keeping the ball in the park a little bit longer, but this bullpen for the Pirates, really, really bad. One of the worst in baseball. So I'm okay with getting to the Cardinals today. You're hoping for a lot to go right if you're putting 6.3 in Goldie, 6K in Arenado, 5.4 in Tyler O'Neill versus Coors Field versus some of the other upper echelon teams. But certainly feels like single entry wise, if you value ownership and upside, you're getting that from the Cardinals.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at Goldie, Arenado, O'Neill, and Gorman, they all have 200 or better ISOs in righty-righty matchups. That's over the last 2 seasons. Of course, Gorman is a rookie, but the others for that's 970 at bats for Goldschmidt, 950 for Arenado. You get the ghost of Corey Dickerson. The price is nice.
He's one of the best hitters in baseball since the All-Star break. He was batting almost 400 a week
I
ago.
don't know how that's happened. It's like he's got all of the positive regression in the last fortnight. See what I did? I made a video game reference there.
No, my heartstrings. That's the one.
Yes, there we go. So yeah, this is, to me, it's all Cardinals all the time. If I was taking anybody against Flaherty, which I think is okay, it'd probably be 3 of the top 4. It'd be Cruz, Reynolds, and Van Gamel, who perpetually in below 3,000 on DK, batting cleanup. Why? I don't know. It's the Pirates. Go Bucks. You ready for the game of all games?
Let's do it.
Madison Bumgarner, Jose Urena. This game is a pick 'em. The over under is, drum roll please, 11.5 right now. That is a monster total. They doubled that last night. Last night was just home runs. There were some stolen bases. It was, and those were better pitchers than what we're seeing tonight. So what do you want to do? And give the usual spiel. It feels like this is going to be one of those games where I'm going to be at least with the field on the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. Normally I come in below. It doesn't feel that way tonight.
Yeah, last night was Coors in full effect. Matter of fact, I think there was a live final last night, and it was how paint by numbers. Hey, stack Coors, let's go.
Yeah.
And Coors goes
hat
off.
tip, I believe that was Big T that ended up winning that. If I saw on Twitter correctly, his kids were jumping on the couch. I thought that was funny.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and par for the course here, especially on DraftKings. It's very easy to get to Coors Field, especially on the D-backs side. No one on the Diamondbacks team is over 5K, and only a couple of these guys in the 4K ranges. So you're going to see a lot of ownership here. And actually, looking at our top batters tool, we're looking at 30% ownership on a guy like Dalton Varsho, multi-position eligible, Jake McCarthy, Alec Thomas pushing 30%. So there's a lot of coagulated ownership in just on the D-backs alone. So you're going to be holding hands with the field. So I would probably, I'm with you. I want to be here because it makes all the sense in the world. These are 2 pitchers I love to pick on. But how do we be different enough to separate ourselves from the field and, be able to jump groups of people at one point? And it's hard to differentiate. But at the same time, I guess if we got a plan with our pitchers, zigging and zagging, where the field might have these guys with Ohtani and we're a little less enamored with Ohtani, maybe that's how we get different. But it makes all the sense in the world to be here. Last night we saw a little lower ownership around. I think last night we had the Rockies closing at sub 10% owned. Today that's doubled, almost 18% right now. So you have to eat even chalkier ownerships, but the upside is there. So I would probably right now I'm sprinkling in there with some of the lower owned like value plays like the Bensons that I mentioned earlier, just to try and rocket those guys up. Rocky's a little bit more expensive to get to. CJ Cron hit the second longest homer, I believe, in recorded history last night. So that's pretty good. 5,200 on DK today. Brendan Rodgers is 4,900 on DK, but just 29 on FanDuel. So a lot of big discrepancies from site to site. But I think long story short, I'm with the field right now on the stack ownership, but I'm also expecting a lot of individual one-offs. But this is a game ownership wise where we have to really put our fingerprints on what we're going to do, because if we don't, we're just going to have all the D-backs value sprinkling in everywhere. So that's what I would probably be using as my strategy opportunity of the day.
I think you nailed that perfectly on that. I see Butthole Jenkins is asking about Corey Dickerson revenge narrative. We're going to give him revenge narrative if we give Chase Anderson revenge narrative going against the Brewers. So no, play him because he's cheap and he's batting second. I went and looked. He's got hits in 13 of his last 15 games, including 4 of 3 or more hits. He had 2 3-hit games and 2 4-hit games in a 6-day span. That escaped me. So yes, I did not have the best data what I was citing earlier.
Hey, it's all about sample size, EMac.
Yes.
Okay, your sample size holds up.
Yes, I'm going to say, where I think he's going to be, like he has been for the last 3 years, not the Corey Dickerson. Right now, he's hitting like he's in Coors Field. That's going to change. When? We don't know, but he's probably seeing beach balls when he's standing there in the plate. All right, 2 more games to go. Our 2 later games, well, I guess nobody's really super late tonight. You've got the Dodgers in San Diego. You've got Julio Urias taking on Blake Snell. So you got a couple of lefties here. I wanted to see how many times they faced each other, because the Dodgers, obviously these teams have played a lot. We won't see this going forward with what Major League Baseball has done with their schedules and getting away a little bit more from the division rivalries. But you've got Urias, who's faced the Padres twice, allowed just 2 runs, 6 walks, 8 strikeouts in 11 innings. And then I don't think Snell did play the Dodgers once. He had a good outing. So how are you feeling about the pitching in this one? Because these are 2 of our more talented pitchers tonight. We also have 2 in the next game, but these are also 3 of the 4 offenses are pretty good. Padres they're just cursed these days. Nothing goes well for them.
I mean, this is a Scumdacker game of the day.
Oh boy.
All 4 corners, man. I think that's the approach in MME here. Like you said, both pitchers pretty talented, have the ability in and of themselves to put up big games. Blake Snell's getting 21% chance of being a top 2 optimal pitcher in our top pitcher tool. That's 3rd on the slate behind Gossman and Ohtani. So that's pretty good. Urias at 16%, not that far behind, still coming in the top 6. And ownership-wise, both pitchers offering positive leverage versus those numbers. So I want to be there pitching-wise. And then because of what else is on the slate and the prices involved in the offenses in this game, we can get the Dodgers at 5% owned as a stack and San Diego at 1%. So it's pretty simple for me to just go ahead and play all 4 corners. I know that's kind of a cop-out. I guess if you were to task me with running 20 or less lineups, I probably wouldn't be that enthralled with either pitcher here because of the Gossman and Flaherty hunches that I'm on. But I think if you are managing a portfolio of lineups, I think you have to play all 4 sides. To make a tiered ranking here, I guess I would go Snell 1 because of our numbers, Urias 2, and then I can get to Dodgers and Padres just as the podium. But that's kind of my approach here. I just have a little bit of everything.
It's one more. Oh, what were you saying?
No, it's just like we went flat there for a second. That made me laugh. I don't know why.
Oh no, I was trying to. My mom.
EMac, I got a beef with chat right now. We have 75 likes, almost 400 viewers. There's no reason. That's just unacceptable. I always say so. I told this to Terry that the like button represents our group ISO, where 200 ISO means we're power hitters. We have a 075 ISO, bro. We're like the Tigers right now. This is not cool. Chat, you guys can be great. Get as close to 200 freaking possible, and hit that like button out of the park, man. At least over 100. That's unacceptable.
Yeah. So in our next game here, we have the Mariners, an excellent team against lefties. They of course are facing Max Fried. They have their talented rookie George Kirby on the mound. Tall order for him going against the Braves. It's going to be in the mid 80s in Seattle. A nice day out there, unseasonably warm for September. They usually get 1 or 2 fall days like this there, and this happens to be kind of one of them. Not quite. We're not going to blame this one on global warming, though we probably should. But how are you feeling about this? Because neither of these teams is coming up in any of my crunches, nor was Houston. So I'm having to manually go in and build some stacks just with those teams to make this work. Where do you think the field's going to be on this game? Let's start with the offenses first. The pitchers, they're both talented. They're in tough spots, similar to what you did before, but this doesn't feel quite like the 4 corners, both sidesers for you. You got to have a lean one way or the other on this one, don't you?
I mean, it's a little 4 corny, but if I end up with no George Kirby, I'm not going to lose sleep. But at the same time, I'm going to have some George Kirby. So a little 4 corners for me. Yeah, I think Max Fried is the guy that's uncomfortably priced, where he might be a little bit more contact than not. You mentioned the Mariners against lefties, man, slugging 384 as a team, 11% walk rate. They're gonna make you throw strikes. So I'm in it on everything here. I think the run totals here are kind of low, all things considered. But I guess it's a lot of respect for the pitchers here. So I'm in slightly above on every aspect. We're looking at Max Fried at 18.8% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 13% ownership, positive leverage baked in there. I'm not going to be at that 18% number, but I'm probably going to be around 15%. And then George Kirby is pretty efficiently owned at 15% top pitcher odds versus ownership. And then, comparing it to our stack odds, Atlanta Braves, almost a 4% chance of being a top stack, half or 2.7% ownership, so almost half of that. So I think it can be a 4 corners, and I also don't think you have to give up a ton of equity to be there. You mentioned the Braves. I think one of the reasons, especially on DraftKings, it's hard to get to the Braves because they're so expensive. 5,700 for Acuna, 53 for Swanson, 57 for Riley, 49 for Matt Olson. If you're going to get an Ohtani and a Gossman, and then let your optimizer and the projections that we feed it do the talking, it's going to give us a lot of cores and elsewhere. And even then, just on a comparison to maybe the Cardinals or the Astros, I think it might lean the other way, but that's the beauty of baseball, right? Ranges of outcomes. There's still a chance for the Braves to pop optimal. So anytime the Braves, the Astros, teams like that, the Dodgers come in at such a low percent owned, that's just too much talent to not be over the field on. So that's my approach with the Braves. The Mariners, I'm a little less full stacky, but I'm fine with it. I know this is your squad. So we talked about Corey Dickerson and his sample size. Carlos Santana last night. What was that? What was that? Huh?
That was a throwback game. I don't know. Let's just say he was smooth. Can we make that joke 20 years after that song came out?
Yeah, I'll allow it. What's that song with Matchbox 20?
I can't think of the guys. Rob something.
Rob, yeah. Thompson, maybe? I don't know.
Something like Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas, there we go. I think Thompson was a pitcher for the Pirates. Anyway, baseball.
Zach Thompson, not to be confused with Zach Thompson.
Okay. Old men have officially derailed the show. Let's go. But no, I like the Mariners stack too, just a lot less than the Braves, just because the Braves are so much more balanced through and through. Bottom of the lineup is there too. Darno in the 5 spot, Michael Harrison, Vaughn Grissom, pretty cheap. So Rob Thomas manages the Phillies now, says our producer Chris. Huge. Or Thompson. I don't know. It'd be cool if it was the guy from Matchbox 20 managing the Phillies. Anyway.
Oh, good times. All righty. We've got about 9 minutes. We'll get out of here a little early today. Fortunately, we got all of the lineups in. That's great. I know everybody's going to be wanting to start doing some research tonight for the NFL. We have, of course, On the Contrary was already recorded. That came out on Friday with Alex and Matt Savoca doing a deep dive into different things. Savoca, a budding data scientist, decided to go into the fantasy sports world. So he has the chops and does some amazing data analytics here. He's somebody definitely worth listening to. We also have several betting shows that are out covering a variety of things, from prize picks to no house advantage to sports wagering, etc. So you guys can check that out. You can get behind the paywall, get all the good stuff with promo code SCRAMBLE. That will get you 7 days of Awesemo NFL Premium for just $7. That's an excellent deal. And then we have the limited time offer with BetMGM. Click through our link below, create your account. You bet $10 on any money line of any NFL game. And if a team scores a touchdown, any team scores a touchdown, you're going to win $200. Plus, you can still win your bet. So that's a pretty sweet deal there. What do you have at the top of the bomb detector?
It's a lot of Blue Jays, like I said, maybe some
setting aside the fake Blue Jays numbers.
Our boy Trace Thompson, the Splash brother, he's been up there all the time, and I swear he always homers.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't he homer again last night? That's all he does is hit bombs.
Well, didn't he kind of like wash out of the league for a bit, and then now
he's
always playing a semi-prominent role because he was with the White Sox way back in the day.
Mm-hmm. He's already got 9 homers, 2 of them in his last 4 games. Yeah, he hits for a little bit of pop, a little sneaky. Obviously, he's in the bottom of the order, and the matchup isn't great. Mike Trout's up there, shocker. That's the one that has all systems go, all green. So he's probably the guy I would circle if I'm letting it do the talking. Looking for weirder names. Elehuris Montero from the Rockies is up here. Really good grade for him. And then Otani, but that doesn't matter. That's basically it. It's usually the usual suspects today. Tweeted it out.
Making one little run here of a Texas stack, just so because I have almost 50% Gossman is where I came in. That was a little higher than I wanted, so I'm going to get a little bit of insurance here, just in case that goes sideways. I'm going to upload my lineups. Do you have any wagers or anything that you wanted to call out tonight? You mentioned the folks on the bomb detector. Was anybody popping in your strikeouts? What is the vaunted Gundacker algorithm telling us?
I'm not betting a lot on pitchers today just because of some of the tougher matchups. But I'm seeing it, like, I don't know. I just feel like run totals are really low today. And I don't know that I agree with a lot of them. I mentioned the Guardians and the Twins having essentially an 8 run total. The Reds at 3.5 against a contact pitcher. It's a chip in a chair for me. The Cardinals under 5, the Pirates at 3.3. I'm not really going to bet on the Pirates, but the Cardinals I'm interested in. And then the Braves and Mariners, I'd probably take the game total. Essentially a 7 run total for Fried and Kirby. They're good, but those offenses are good too. So I might be kind of dabbling in the run total streets versus anything, which is not usually where I hang out.
No, it's just, but the ones you called out were ones I was looking at as well this morning. And I thought, because I was writing my article at 7:30, I was like, I'm looking at overnight totals, or, I'm going to sites, not all the lines are posted. So some of these are kind of like inferred lines or best guesses and whatever. And it's like, no, those games didn't come up. I even went and looked at the weather. I'm like, my brother said it was warm because he's out in Washington. He's like, yeah, it's been pretty warm out here. And I was like, well, damn, what's going on? Why is this happening? So I agree with you. I think we might want to look at that over. When you look at it, you want to consider that and both these teams have decent bullpens, but there's so many good hitters, and it would not be a shock for there to be a couple home runs. And if anybody's on base, you're going to sail right over that 7 run total. We'll see. Good pitchers, we could see a pitching duel, but this is a far cry from something in the upper 60s, lower 70s game here for what do they call it now? T-Mobile Park. The other thing you want to remember is that Seattle does, well, all stadiums do, but Seattle does have the humidor as well. So what they do is they are actually drying out the ball a little bit, rather than, because they're at sea level, and it's definitely a lot of moisture there inherently, just because it's Seattle. But their home park still plays favorable for pitchers, but it gets more home runs now. And it's an interesting phenomenon. Well, I don't know what baseball loves to screw around with everything they possibly can. Right?
Yeah, big time super chat from our boy Eric. Says,
we got a couple here. Eric Trop, Team Eric, salary agnostic. Would you rather have Mckenzie or Fried? He does not like Gossman.
I'm looking at every number, and they almost feel like the same play without salary. We're getting similar ownership, similar top pitcher percentage. I know our boy, homeboy Bonanza, is worried about the history there, but that history might involve Polanco and Byron Buxton. This is a more watered down Twins lineup, so I think McKenzie might have the strikeout edge. Fried will give you that.
Fried has a trailing two-year rate of 23.6. That's right around league average. This iteration of the Mariners lineup tonight has a 2-year trailing strikeout rate against lefties of just 16.5%. That's incredibly low. Like, that would be lower than, obviously it's this iteration of this particular lineup and yada, yada, yada. But that would be the lowest in the league against lefties if it was for a whole season, the whole team. Obviously, this is because they're putting a ton of righties out there, with the exception of JP Crawford. And they've got 4 switch hitters in their lineup. I would take Tristan Mckenzie.
For me, McKenzie for the strikeouts. If it's a FanDuel thing, I think Fried's more likely to go 7 innings, 6 Ks than McKenzie. McKenzie's on or he's not. And I'll take my chances against that lineup trying to get to the top. I wish there was like a gap in ownership and I could let that be the tiebreaker, but they're pretty close in the charts I'm looking at on DK.
Yeah, I'm pulling up a little more information here. This is Fried just doesn't have the built-in upside, in my opinion, with the strikeouts. And even though it's like, oh, he's at 23.6 and McKenzie's at 26. It's like, but yeah, to Gun's point, there are more strikeouts in Minnesota. Their projected lineup is a 2-year trailing strikeout rate of 24%, right? That's dramatically higher. It's a third higher than the 16% that the Mariners have. So I would go the McKenzie route. Damn it, now I feel like where did I end up?
Hey, you got plenty of time to get some McKenzie.
Talking myself into McKenzie here. What's going on? Let's see. Why do I know? Oh, because I have it on the locked screen. I ended up, we'll do some ownerships here and then we'll get on out of here. I ended up 43% on Gossman. That's 10% over the field. Ohtani, I came in 10% under, which is where I wanted to be. Urquidy, I came 5% over, 15% over on Flaherty. I'm about even on Snell, Kirby, Fried. I have almost no Howard, and I have 16% McKenzie. The field we have, or last time I refreshed this was 11. It might be up at 12, so I'm a little above the field, but I feel comfortable with that now that I've poked around with that. Just 6% Urquidy, and that's really it. I don't have anybody else.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like we're too far off.
Under the field on Snell, where I want it to be. So.
Nice. I dig it. I like it.
Jeff Williams, type in your question right now and I will answer. Oh, I can scroll and find it. Here we go. One last super chat. Flaherty or Bo Bichette versus Urquidy and Perdomo. I'm assuming that's the Perdomo in Arizona. I would actually lean towards Flaherty and Bichette.
Yeah, that would probably be my snap call. I just got that feeling of a bad knee of the storm coming in on Flaherty tonight. And Bo Bichette's in the thick of a lineup that's looking really good for power.
There we go. All right. I think we're good. Any other super chats that we missed? Thank you, Eric Traub, Team Eric, for that one. Appreciate that. He's had himself a nice little baseball season. He's there on the down low. He doesn't like the pub, but he's had a nice little DFS streak for himself.
I like it. I dig it.
Any final thoughts, Gun?
No, man, I gotta crack the book open on some NFL, man. There's a lot of NFL tomorrow on this channel, dude. That's one of my favorite blocks of content. It's just nonstop chat about football. It's nuts. 4 hours, count them, 4, and we will be. I'm curious to see where we go. Last year we were averaging about 23 to 2,800 towards the peak. I bet we can get over 3,000, 4,000 tomorrow because. It's Christmas. Everybody's going to be tuning in. So be sure to subscribe. That helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Like these videos. That would be very, very helpful. And tune in tomorrow. We're going to have 4 hours up to NFL kickoff at 1 o'clock. And then, of course, we will have NFL Live Before Lock with myself, T. McBee, and Nick Lepre. We will be breaking down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. See what I did there? Against Dak Prescott and one receiver. Lamb, is that it? Tony Pollard in the slot. Let's go.
All right. Good times. We're going to get on out of here. Thank you to producer Chris. You can follow Gundacker on Twitter at Gundacker. I am at EMac DFS, and it is Stokastic _ CON. Good luck, gamers.